Hello, average flatlanders. Here we are again today, yet talking about another missing persons report. This one turns out a little bit better than the last one. This is unbelievable. A guy goes missing for 14 days in Daniel Boone National Park in Kentucky. The dude survives. They find him and rescue him after 14 days. 12 of those without any food or water. Insane. I mean, this is just another reminder that this stuff can happen anywhere. We've read about this stuff this year happening all the way in Minnesota, the Boundary Waters, in Wyoming, in the Tetons, and here we are down in Kentucky in a national forest, and the dude goes missing for 14 days and survives. It's just such a stark reminder that this stuff can happen anywhere to anyone all across the United States. You think, oh, how could someone get lost? Don't they need to be in Alaska or somewhere crazy? No, it's happening everywhere. It's happening in the north of Minnesota. It's happening down south in Kentucky. It's just crazy. You got to remember these areas are big, and sometimes people go in that are inexperienced, and bad things happen really quick. 14 days, inexperienced hiker lost and survives. It makes me think Bigfoot was feeding him berries or something. So this guy, Scott Hearn, who is from Ohio, set off on a hike on what turned out to be one of the greatest survival stories, I think, of 2024. Now, this guy was on Rock Tower Trail in southern Kentucky's Daniel Boone National Forest. And just to show you, you can go look up this on all trails. This is insane. It's only a 0.8 mile out and back trail near Pine Ridge, Kentucky. It's generally considered to be moderate, challenging route, and it takes about 26 minutes to complete. This is where this guy started. It's a popular trail, it says. It's incredible. Something like this can happen on a trail like this. Somebody takes off, goes somewhere different, and all of a sudden 14 days later they haven't been found. It's crazy. I mean, let's get this a little bit in perspective. We just recently talked about a guy who's been missing for a month in the Grand Teton National Park, like roughly a little over 300,000 acres. And you're thinking, oh, Kentucky, there's tons of people down there. It's a national forest, I know, but this is over 700,000 acres of land. That's crazy. Think about that, 700,000 acres of woods, ridges, rocks, rivers. I mean, man, that's an easy place to get lost, obviously. According to rescuers, he was missing 14 days. 12 of those he survived without food or water. He purportedly had some trail mix and some bottled water when he went in, and of course that lasted him about 2 days. Here's a little shot from a helicopter of where they ended up finding this guy after 14 days. Crazy. You can see there. I mean, this is just a crazy place to go wandering around in. There's lots of ridges, rocks, trees. I mean, unless you've actually been in these situations and hiking up and down this stuff, this is incredible. You can even see this shot from a helicopter of them taking off and heading in to pick him up. It looks pretty rough and rugged in there. I can see how someone would get lost if you don't know what you're doing. They also said this survivability, which I agree with, is unheard of since this guy was a fairly new hiker, didn't have any experience, and didn't have any camping supplies with him. The fact that he lasted 14 days, 12 days without food or water, it's incredible. We've reported on this a couple different times in different parts of the United States this year, and in each case there have been pretty much the same lessons that can be learned. Accidents and getting lost can happen to anyone at any time. If you're going into a wilderness area, I don't care where you are. Obviously, if you're in, Wyoming, you can be down in Kentucky, you have to be prepared. You cannot go without supplies. At a minimum, you have to have basic survival gear that can make all the difference. Some of the stories like this guy, man, he didn't have anything on him. You need to at least have fire starter. Imagine if this guy had a fire starter, he probably could have been rescued after a day or two. Start a fire, right? They'd see the smoke. I mean, anything would have helped. And again, this is just another reminder. You should probably have an inReach or some other beacon. They're fairly cheap. And if you're going into 700,000 acres, you should probably have one strapped to you. And this guy apparently didn't have much experience, but you should have, at least if you're going to go out someplace like this, you should have basic survival knowledge. And that just takes, an hour or two of your time just reading. And you should probably plan ahead of time of like what could happen, worst case scenarios. Just pack a few things. It doesn't take much. Even putting a lighter and a knife in your backpack, or in your pocket, come on. Also, being lost for 14 days, this guy got lucky, man. Just being able to have your bearings, be able to pick up north and south from the sun rising and setting, just to have a map of that area in your mind that you've looked at for a few days before you go and kind of understand where the rivers run, kind of how big the place is, like where is this trail you're going on? Does it head north, south? Am I heading north? So if I get lost, I'd have to go south. Just having some sort of mental map of where you at and where generally you could get out. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, this guy sat there for 14 days. It's just, I don't know what I think about that. It's easy to be an armchair person, but, you'd think if he had a little bit of preparation, a little bit of knowledge of the area he's in, I don't know. He probably could have got out of there on his own. Again, I'm glad they found this guy after 14 days. That's hopefully more info comes out about how he actually survived 14 days. I'd be curious to know what water he drank, if he ate some plants or berries or what happened. But hopefully that comes out in the future and maybe we can revisit it and learn some more lessons